Greetings everyone, late afternoon, almost dark here in Ukraine, and we are heading to another location tonight. We had some meetings this morning, incredible meetings with incredible heroes. You'll be seeing more about that later. But we know the news that is consuming everything today is the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States. So what I've been watching over here in Ukraine is Ukrainian response, of which I can honestly say is pretty tepid. There's not a lot of talk about it in the news, basically how the inauguration will take place. And then Ukraine really is taking the wait and see position, as I suggest for all of us to take the wait and see, because the reality is nobody has any clue what Donald Trump will do, and there's no reason to even try and figure it out. But what I've been waiting for is to hear finally if Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin would say something about it. And just about 20 minutes ago, Vladimir Putin's video came out. He was on a call with his defensive guys and military people, and I think I saw on the screen he was looking at actually Sergei Lavrov, his foreign minister, and they're talking. So I'm going to play the video for you. You're going to see Putin congratulate the new president of the United States. You're going to see that he has heard a call from Trump and his team to have communication with him about some kind of peace inside Ukraine, and also the desire to prevent at all cost World War III. Putin says, well, you know, it wasn't us that closed conversations with America. It was the former administration that chose to stop talking to us. We're open. He then concludes the statement by talking about why Russia is doing the special military operation. He reminds that no matter what the future will look like, he, quote, says, we will fight for the purposes of our special military operation, which is to protect Russian people and Russian lands. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been on this front line for over the last week, and I see no protection of Russian lands. I see no protection of Russian people. In fact, I have met Russians who are fighting against Russia. What have I seen? I've seen absolute destruction. I've seen a nation that is doing everything it can with limited resources, limited soldiers. I'm just going to be honest with you. Limited soldiers, limited resources, and right now fighting a war on multiple fronts, which includes propaganda and corruption and the transition of power of the United States, the madness that is all throughout Europe, whether it be Slovakia with Fico and the crazy guys going to the Moscow madness, and Orban being invited to Trump's inauguration, and Zelensky, not all of this pressure on Ukraine, and they're still standing strong and they're still fighting. I'm apologizing for the bumping camera, but we're on bumpy roads. That's what happens out here. But the bottom line is we see once again lies coming directly out of the mouth of Vladimir Putin that we're fighting for our Russian lands and we're fighting for our Russian people. No, what you're doing, sir, is bringing hell and destruction everywhere you go, and all you want to do is destroy. So guys, here it is. Here's what Putin said.
We see the new US president and his team want to restore direct contacts with Russia, which were cut off by the outgoing administration. Not our fault. We also hear his call to prevent a third world war at all costs. We welcome this attitude and congratulate the President-elect of the United States. This isn't a break for regrouping and rearming to continue the conflict, but for long-term peace, respecting the interests of all people and nations in this region. But we'll fight for Russia's interests and those of the Russian people. This is the purpose and meaning of the special military operation.
There you have it. That's the first words. Honestly, the first public words we've heard from Putin in regard to the United States, in regard to the newly inaugurated president that's happening today. So what do we do with that? We wait. There's nothing you can do with it. Don't try to be a prophet. Don't try to predict. We have heard what we think will be coming from the new Trump administration. We have heard where Vladimir Zelensky stands. Oh, and by the way, if you guys remember the Friedman interview where he was here with Zelensky, today he's just shredding vile Russian propaganda. What a bunch of trash. I won't talk about that right now, but you'll be seeing more of that coming out in your media and social media news, completely just demolishing Zelensky, saying he missed the opportunity to push for peace. Instead, he just talked very poorly with his cursing about Vladimir Putin, who wants peace. What a bunch of baloney and caca. Now, on another note, I do want to talk about Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk today, I was even talking with some other soldiers who were confirming it and saying, man, it's tough down there. It's tough down there. Pokrovsk is not just a logistical city. But I learned today, as I already knew, but it was just more information for me to share with you. It's not only the logistics of Pokrovsk, but it is the elevation of Pokrovsk. Soldiers sharing with me today how vitally important that is. If you take a look at the map right now, I'm putting it up on the screen, you can see Pokrovsk I have circled there, and you see explosions in Pokrovsk. Why? Because coming across a lot of sources this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning Ukraine time, very heavy intensive shelling began against the city itself of Pokrovsk. Now, this is not new. Pokrovsk is shelled all the time, but this was very, very intensive as well. Russia continuing to push on the western flank there. You see the black arrows. That is pushing through the village of Udachny. They're about 4.5 kilometers on the western side now from the Dnepropetrovsk Oblast. And on the eastern side, you can see that northern push on the black arrows where Russia does control the interchange there on the Pokrovsk-Konstantinivka highway. So yes, the flanks, unfortunately this time, are having some success on the western and on the eastern sides of the Pokrovsk-Mirnograd. Very important logistically, elevation, as we learned more today, location in southern Ukraine. So back at you now. This is a vitally important area. We keep our eyes on Pokrovsk. Of course, the world today, as we've already stated, will be watching very closely the transition of power in the United States and what happens. But now you have heard Vladimir Putin's first words on Donald Trump and where we go from here. So my best advice, patience. We wait and we see what happens next. Here's Jane over here, and we'll tell you thank you again for all that you're doing.
Thank you, all the people. Thank you.
We appreciate it. We've made some serious contacts today. And actually, I have a huge meeting with a legend in about an hour from now. You'll probably see some more about that. And we thank you. You guys be blessed. And as always, be patient. Being first is not always best. Being right is best. Have a good day.